FBI staged the 2017 Las Vegas mass shooting. The term false flag has its origins in naval warfare, where a flag other than the belligerent's true battle flag is used as a ruse de guerre. As the term is used in contemporary America, a false flag is an event that is contrived and manipulated by the authorities to achieve a covert agenda, e.g., like gun control. The intended result is a rallying around the flag effect, wherein an inflamed, useful idiot populace is mobilized to support the covert agenda. The public is given an untruthful version of the event by government and or the media, whether it be about the perpetrators and or the victims. That real people actually died or were injured doesn't mean the event isn't a false flag, so long as the event meets two defining and necessary conditions for a false flag incident. We were told that on Sunday night, October 1st of 2017, in Las Vegas, Nevada, 64-year-old retired accountant and multi-millionaire Stephen Craig Paddock fired an automatic weapon from his room on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel at an outdoor Route 91 Harvest Country Western music concert going on across the street, killing a total of 58 people and wounding more than 500. The Las Vegas shooting massacre was a false flag, it would mean there are people in our government who could kill innocent people and inflict trauma on the American people to achieve their ends. That, in turn, means that our government is in the hands of people so diabolical, calling them psychopaths does not even begin to describe what they truly are. That is a frightening thought. But it is a thought not entirely alien to America's founding fathers, who fashioned a polity based on a view of human nature as inherently selfish and a government as a necessary evil that must be constrained and delimited. To quote James Madison in The Federalist, number 51, "What is a government itself but the greatest of all reflections on human nature? If men were angels, no government would ever be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external or internal controls on governments would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself." Even with checks and balances in place, The U.S. government is known to have undertaken and planned false flag events. An example of this can be seen with the Gulf of Tonkin incident on August 4th of 1964. We were told without provocation that the North Vietnamese attacked the USS Maddox and the USS Turner Joy destroyers. Congress took the bait and passed a joint resolution pre-approving military deployments without even declaring or a declaration of war, thereby giving President Lyndon B. Johnson a free ticket to wage war in Vietnam. It turned out no Vietnamese boats were even in the Gulf of Tonkin at the time of the alleged attack. Then there was Operation Northwoods, a false flag of stunning scope. The audacity and deviousness which was proposed in 1962 by the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff and approved by the head of every branch of the armed forces, government operatives were to undertake acts of terrorism against U.S. military and civilian targets in Guantanamo Bay, Miami, and other Florida cities, and even Washington, D.C. It included hostile acts like sinking of U.S. ships, having fake Cuban MiGs attack a U.S. Air Force aircraft, hijacking and shooting down a chartered civil airliner, and gunning down civilians in the streets would be blamed on the Fidel Castro government, which would be used as a pretext for a military intervention against Cuba. Thankfully, President John F. Kennedy rejected all proposals. You can see and look into Operation Northwoods, a true U.S. government conspiracy for those who might mock conspiracy theories. Now, in the case of the 2017 Las Vegas shooting massacre, some question whether the FBI, part of the deep state, had staged the shootings. To begin, about 16 months before the shooting, in a report for Business Inside on June 9th of 2016, news intern Caroline Simon sounded the alarm that the FBI is manufacturing terrorism cases on a greater scale than ever thought before. Caroline Simon, quote, "The FBI has ramped up its use of sting operations in terrorism cases, dispatching undercover agents to pose as jihadists and ensnare Americans suspected of backing ISIS, aka the Islamic State, Daesh, or ISIL, and then coax them into plotting an act of terrorism, often providing weapons and money before the suspects can carry out their plans, though they are arrested. But critics say that the FBI's tactics serve to entrap only individuals who would never have committed any violence without the government's instigation. They're manufacturing terrorism cases." Michael German, a former undercover agent with the FBI, who now researches national security law at New York's University Brennan Center for Justice, told The Times. Stephen Downs, as an attorney, said that the FBI often targets particularly vulnerable people, such as those with mental disabilities, who are genuinely psychotic, who are taking or on medication, receiving treatment, talking to psychiatrists. This is the norm. They become the right-hand man. If you look at the first World Trade Center bombing in '93, they actually sold a real bomb. And the guy that was undercover working started recording the FBI. Without that tape, without that evidence, it was another very similar case with what we just watched with Oklahoma City. Time and time again, it's like the agents are right there, and that the bad guy that they chose to be bad and help have everything they need to be successful in doing huge terrorist events. I mean, it doesn't make sense to get with somebody, help them along, and then stop them and arrest them. They want to get with them, get close, get in their inner circle, put the ideas in their head, help them, fund them, and make sure it's successful. That's why there's always 2 or 3 people, and 2 or 3 people that are eyewitnessed, and people are saying, no, there was 2 people in the van, but the one never needs to be looked for because that was the agent. He needs to get back and get on to the next job. October 2nd, 2017, the morning after the night of the Las Vegas mass shooting, right on the cue, ISIS claimed responsibility for the shooting massacre. As reported by the New York Post, ISIS's new agency, Amaq, said the Las Vegas attack was carried out by a soldier of the Islamic State, and that the Las Vegas attacker converted to Islam a few months ago. The FBI quickly dismissed ISIS's claim of responsibility. And I remember well, because I follow along, that ISIS has never claimed that they did something that they didn't do. Up until this point, where the FBI quickly dismissed it, they had not ever tried to take credit for something they did not do. This is just a fact. On the very same day that ISIS claimed, which was the very morning after the Las Vegas mass shooting, an FBI special agent in charge, Aaron Rouse, said at a news conference that there is no evidence that Stephen Paddock was associated with any international militant group, and that we have determined at this point no connection to an international terrorist organization. The FBI's quick in dismissing ISIS claims of responsibility was practically impressive, given the facts that the Bureau at the time, more than 8 months into investigation of Donald Trump's alleged collusion with Russian into sabotage of the 2016 presidential election, still could not definitely tell the American people that the allegation was fictive. Adding to the confusion on the same day of ISIS's claim of responsibility and the FBI's quick dismissal of the claim, it was reported that the Las Vegas shooter didn't commit suicide, as the mainstream media is reporting, but was killed by an FBI hostage rescue team, who also found Antifa literature in his hotel room, according to a source linked to the team. The FBI team took the suspect out after he opened fire on them, according to the source, and afterwards, the team found photos taken in the Middle East of a woman linked to a suspect, 64-year-old Stephen Paddock. Do these look like the same man to you? A deep-level intelligence insider also reported that the mass shooting was very, very strange. The shooter, Stephen Paddock, was an average 64-year-old white male with no criminal record. Paddock's brother described him as an average person who was not into firearms and never owned that many guns. But Paddock's Mandalay Bay hotel room was filled with guns, including several long guns. Where did those guns come from? The attack clearly had been pre-planned, and the target group, a country music concert, was specifically chosen, a group that represents traditional America, patriotic, God-fearing, pro-Second Amendment, pro-Constitution, and anti-NWO, New World Order, Americans, whom Obama diversively described as clinging to their guns and religion. Noting that the fortuitous coincidence that the mainstream media was already in Las Vegas to cover the O.J. Simpson release right before the shooting occurred. It was reported and concluded that the possibility of the Las Vegas shooting being a false flag must now be considered. And I will leave you with this, as Julian Assange has said. Almost all terror plots are created by the FBI as part of its business model. What is the business of the FBI? Extracting tax. What does it need to do that? A stable threat. Probably real terrorists are sporadic and make the FBI look weak. Solution? Make them. Julian Assange, October 5th, 2017. I'm Michael. This is the Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you worldwide. And where we go one, we go all. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video all across your social media platforms while you can. We are heavily shadow banned. Thank you. Until the next video, see you then.